Very good. Okay. All right, we'll call this meeting to order. City of Saratoga Springs, Tuesday, July 21st, 2020, 6 p.m. or 6:03 p.m. We'll do a roll call. We have Councilman Wilden, Councilman Porter, Councilman Comber, and myself, Councilman Karn and myself. We're excusing Mayor Miller from today's meeting. We have asked Councilman Wilden to give our own invocation, and then Councilman Karn on the Pledge of Allegiance. Go from there.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful that we're able to be gathered virtually as a city council this evening and review the things that are brought forth in front of us. And we ask you to bless the residents of our city and our servicemen and women, that they'll be safe from all the things that they're doing at this time. And we ask you to bless us with thy spirit, that we can be guided to make good decisions that will help our community and all around us. And these things we say in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, please rise and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, let's see. We have a presentation from Strategic Planning Advisory Committee recognition. Who's over that?
David, oops, sorry. David Johnson asked me to do that. I'm trying to see if we have anybody here. If we could move on to the next item, I'll see if we who we have waiting for that. I apologize.
All right. Do we have any reports from City Council? Okay.
I have one quick one. I can't remember when it was, but it's been since our last meeting. We're continuing to meet with UDOT or with UTA and with MAG regarding public transportation and studying what can be done to get service out here. So we had a productive meeting. They're narrowing down the scope, and I think that they're currently out to bid for the whoever's going to run the study. So,
okay.
Mayor?
Let's see. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I've met with the Utah Lake Commission, and since I've been on the council starting in January, we kind of went virtual with everything in March, and so I've not met with the Utah Lake Commission in person. So I frankly don't know how much of this information has trickled down to the rest of the council, but there is a grant that we have available to us that's been approved. It'll require a city match for our South Marina, and our staff is working on a response to that now.
Right. Any other reports? If not, Mark, any administration?
No, we don't have need to go into closed session tonight, so we can skip past that item. Just wanted to give a quick update for you as council on the Knowles Fire flood response and mitigation. Just so you're aware, we're working very closely with NRCS right now to get a federal grant in place that will help us fund our response and recovery. Up to this point, all the money that we've spent has been city-related funds. We hope to get an approval from them shortly. We anticipate that it will be slightly over $1 million for us to do all of the mitigation efforts that we're anticipating. Some of that $1 million will be including some reseeding efforts from BLM, and that will help count towards some of our match. It is a 25% match grant. So what we're hoping for is funding over $750,000 to help with some of the mitigation efforts. That includes super silt fences, which are the chain link fences with silt fences. It will include some basically some berms in the canals to slow the water down. It includes channel mobilization, things like that. It will also include a detention, a basin, if you would, and a below ground basin up on top to kind of help catch debris and things of that nature. In addition, we've provided sandbags for the community, and we've been kind of working with the community to try and help protect their properties in that area. So we've got a lot of things that have been going on. Public Works crew has been doing an amazing job, but I just wanted to give you a real quick update. The fire department and all of the surrounding agencies did an amazing job of fighting the fire and getting that put out. And we now find ourselves in the mitigation phase and trying to prevent any further damage from happening to properties. So we're charging ahead on that, and I'd be happy to tackle any questions on that, but we are moving ahead, and we're hoping that we can get some good news out to you and to the community once those final decisions.
Okay. And let's see, if any other reports, we'll move on to department reports. Are we doing that now or at the end?
Mayor and council, if we could, we'll do like we've done since we've been virtual. Instead of having staff do presentations and run through those PowerPoints, those were provided for you as part of your staff reports. If you have any specific questions for any of the departments, we'd be happy to tackle that, or you feel free to reach out to those departments. Again, we, just given kind of the virtual nature of this, we'll spare you the formal presentation of reading the slides to you and going through those presentations, and we'd be happy to tackle any questions that you might have.
Any questions from council on department reports? Okay. What about, do we have any public comment or questions at this time? Or public input?
No, we don't, but just as an information, Mayor Miller is on the phone call, just on his phone. He's having some technical difficulties, so if we could just make sure that the minutes show that he is attending.
Okay. Do I still conduct the meeting then, or?
Yeah, I think if he's having technical difficulties, that might be the best, and then
Okay.
he can jump in with anything. Mayor, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Our CenturyLink just went down, so we can't connect.
Okay. Well, a little awkward, but I'll continue on.
Technology,
Yeah, go ahead.
just technology is what it is, and I think we're muddling through just fine.
Great. All right, with that, we'll move on to business items. Business item 1, University of Utah Medical Center Community Plan Amendment and Village Plan Amendment. Jonathan Bates, University of Utah applicant, northeast corner of Pioneer Crossing and Market Street, ordinance 20-24, dated today.
Okay, Mayor and Council, we've got Chris Hupp and Mark Grable are here in attendance. They're representing the U of U. I'll go to a share screen here. Oh, that was the wrong share screen. You can go to the right one here. Oh, it's not showing up now. No, that was it. Okay, there we go. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so Mayor and Council, we got a community plan amendment as well as a village plan amendment. You are the land use authority, northeast corner of Market Street, Pioneer Crossing. Again, Jonathan Bates is the applicant. This right here in a nutshell is everything they're asking for. It's really not a whole lot of change, really. They're increasing the acreage from 28 to 33 acres. And then they're increasing the range for what could potentially go there to have a new range of 523 to 1.2 million square feet in phases. Anything that exceeds over 300,000 as built would require additional traffic and utility studies. Then the village plan originally covered just 15 acres. Now the village plan will now cover the entire project. Zoning in the general plan, the planned use, the planned community mixed use designations. This is just more the sheet right out of the community plan, which rehashes the acreage and the potential square footage. There would be a maximum of 576 ERUs, there as well at maximum build out. Potentially 2 phases, as they've indicated here, phase 1, phase 2. Phase 2 is the property that's still under SLR control, and that was the property that was not in the original community plan. So that is the additional acreage you see there. The Planning Commission recommends approval with the findings and conditions you have in the staff report. Any questions? Or if any of the applicant has any questions, they can jump in as well.
Mayor Pro Temp, you're on mute.
Is the applicant online with us?
They are. So Mark and Chris jump in if they need to.
Yeah, did you have anything to add, Mark and Chris?
No, it's that we were just expanding to that last piece that you saw that Dave showed. And that's the major change. And the initial plan that we came forward with was more or less half the acreage, as he had said, the 15, and now we're going to 33. So that's the jump in square footage as well.
Okay.
I just have a quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I see there's obviously with the phasing, there's a lot of square footage for the building to go up even over 1 million square feet. I assume that's going vertical, more stories, and then the extra acreage will accommodate for the additional parking that will be required. Is that correct?
We don't, this is Mark Grable, the project manager. We don't really know exactly. Our initial findings were more of a kind of a low 3 to 5 story max. Was our kind of our initial studies.
Because I just get concerned as if obviously if, you know, when we were 110,000 people, Eagle Mountain's 140,000 people, West Lehigh's 100,000 people, obviously there's going to be huge demand. And if we go vertical, and even if you add more, we just would have to have space for parking. And so that's just my only concern with that range. If we go back on the presentation, David, to what they're asking for, if you could. So from 523 to 1.224 million square feet, that's a big difference. So originally it was 300, now we're 500, and it can be all the way up to 1.2 million. I just want to make sure that we're addressing the parking demands that will demand 1.2 million in square feet if that ends up being in a phase.
And
have we looked at that data?
Okay.
This is Mark.
Obviously, building square footage is going to dictate how the parking works out. And again, this is some high level stuff here, conceptual in nature. You know, at this point, there's really not a parking study that's required or mandated. So, you know, development comes in really for the most part.
Well, David, would on the slide at the bottom of the community plan, it says additional studies and standards once development exceeds 300 square feet. Would parking be included in those studies?
It could, because really, for the most part, that, and Gordon can jump in here, for the most part, that addresses a traffic study as well as utility studies. And the U representatives can explain further why they asked for that due to really COVID related and money that they've lost and don't want to spend at this point. And so we agreed to say, okay, great. As soon as you get that benchmark number, then we're gonna have to relook at the traffic and utilities.
So, would you have?
I'm sorry, I assumed that we would be entertaining those. We kind of punted on those, and we'd be entertaining them at the site plan level.
And that's fine. The reason why I was bringing it up is I just want you to be aware that, I mean, there's a range here that's allowed, but if parking down the road, we won't be able to approve it if it doesn't meet the parking standards. And I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. So you have this range up to 1.2 million. I don't think the space, even if you went, I mean, you'd have to be almost 10 stories to have enough parking in that 33 acres to accommodate that much square footage. I just wanted you to make sure you were aware of that. We have our parking standard requirements based on the square footage. So the studies and standards, but parking is one that is one of the more critical ones in a facility like this. that's all I wanted to say, and I'll turn the time back over to you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Ryan, if I could.
May
Yes.
I interject?
Go with Mark Christensen really quick, and then yeah, we'll come back.
Mayor and council, when the applicant came in and we started talking with them, we really were looking for a solution for them that would help them move forward and give them flexibility in the future and be able to come and address these types of things in the future. But at the same time, give them the option to go forward, knowing that we're in favor of them making a larger facility to support a community, as Councilmember McComber indicated. So again, our intent was not to close the door on future parking studies and those types of things that would be required. But again, we wanted to give them flexibility and some hope and promise of they have flexibility moving forward to bring such a great facility. So our attempt to try and keep the door wide open for them, but at the same time say, look, any additional studies or standards that we need to do are things that we'll look at as we move forward.
Yeah, Councilmember McComber, to your point as far as parking, obviously, yeah, if there's 1.2 million, I just did a quick calculation here. Typically, medical facilities are 200 square feet per stall. That puts it close to 5,000 or 5,000 stalls. Obviously, you're not going to get 5,000 stalls there. You know, perhaps with the parking garage, a parking structure, maybe. But I guess that will leave the option for them. Hey, we need to acquire more property. If we're going to go to 1.2, we'd have to expand and whatnot, and that'd have to be amended then in the future.
Chris or Mark, was it one of you that wanted to interject there?
Yes, Chris. And to those questions and those points, that base concept plan that you see, that's about 330,000 square feet, 1 story. Just to give you some context there, you go up 3 stories and it can fit in those current, more or less those current footprints. And so that could expand, but to what Mark had said previously, the concept plan was still a little up in the air due to some of the recent things that had happened and the acquirement of phase 2. With that being said, obviously we're more than willing to and wanting to make sure that the parking and other things like that are accommodated when that site plan comes into play.
Yeah, and thanks, Chris. This is Mark. I'll just reiterate on other facilities that we've worked on, Fashion Place or in Farmington or Daybreak. Typically, we need more than the minimum requirements by the city to make those operate. So anyhow, if that's any consolation.
Okay. Any other comments from or questions from council? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve business item 1, ordinance 20-24 dated today, including all staff findings and conditions.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Any other discussion? All right, Councilman Wilden.
Aye.
Councilman Carn.
Aye.
Councilman Porter.
Aye.
And Councilman McComber.
Aye.
And Councilman Poduska, aye. Do I vote on this as well?
You do.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you, Chris and Mark.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so we'll move on to business item number 2, award of contracts for 2020 road maintenance project seal coat. As follows: Schedule A, Geneva Rock; Schedule B, Sticker Parson; and Schedule C, M&M Asphalt. Resolution R20-31 dated today.
Mayor and council will have Jeremy Lappin present the next 2 items for you this evening. Thanks.
Take it away, Jeremy.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mayor and council, this is what we do every year, our citywide pavement contract. We had looked at doing a project on Harbor Parkway, which was somewhat of a new method, ended up removing that from the bid award because the prices did not come in what we thought was a good price. So other than that, we would like to move forward with the low bids on each of those schedules. So let me know if you have any questions.
Did we want to do business item 2 and 3 together, or separate?
Separate is fine.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Councilman Cumber. Yeah.
So on the Schedule D, are we going out to bid again, or are we just not going to do it this year? What's the plan there?
We would probably not do it this year. It wasn't critical. It was Harbor Parkway, and we had looked at doing a cold in place recycling, which we were hoping would be cheaper than removing the asphalt completely and replacing it.
Were you talking Harbor Parkway, or is it Lake Mountain? I was looking at the package. I thought I said Lake Mountain, but it's Harbor Parkway you're talking about?
It was Harbor Parkway in Lake Mountain Estates, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the hope was cold recycling, where they grind up the asphalt, mix it with an emulsion. Would have been a much more cost-effective price than just a traditional remove and replace. But unfortunately, prices did not come in favorable. So if we're going to do a traditional remove and replace, my thought is we should try to squeeze a few more years out of that road before we start over from scratch, particularly given the pending construction of a couple projects that are going to use Harbor Parkway as a construction road, the reservoir and that. So I'd like to get those projects built and get the construction traffic done before we look at redoing that road. So
let the big trucks damage the road some more before we replace it.
Correct. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm done, Mayor.
Councilman Porter.
That was my question as well.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do we need to remove Schedule D from the motion?
I don't believe Schedule D is in the we did not include it in the resolution. So
it's not.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks. I'll make a motion then.
Yeah, go ahead.
I move to award of contracts for 2020 road maintenance project resolution R2031 dated today on the agenda.
Okay, I have a first, a second.
I have a question before I'll second. Did somebody second it already? Sorry.
I tried, but I may have been muted.
Okay, so Councilman Porter, second. Any questions or comments?
Yes. Do we need to, for the motion, do we have to outline the price and which vendor is getting them? We've done that in the past. Is that required?
Mayor and Council, you may have noticed that Kevin is not with us. I think if you were to reference the staff report amounts in the PEPG memo, I think you'd be fine. So I think if you recommend the resolution, including the amounts that were in the staff report.
So I'll amend the first to include the amounts listed in the staff report.
Okay, amend the first.
Second.
Amend the second. Any other comments? All right, Councilman Weldon.
Aye.
Councilman Cumber.
Aye.
Councilman Karn.
Aye.
Councilman Porter.
Aye.
And Councilman Podeska, aye as well. All right, all in favor, thank you. Business item number 3, award a contract for 2020 manhole collar repair project road maintenance to Snow Canyon Construction, resolution R20-32 dated today.
I have a motion.
Yeah.
A question.
I'll give a quick spiel. Mayor and Council, this is to repair some manhole collars. I think the majority of it falls in the Sunrise Meadows subdivision. We've had some significant settlement. We've done many repairs to Buffalo Road and other roads over the years, but this will take care of some of the most egregious issues that we encounter, both affecting drivability, plowing. You may have noticed there was one little hiccup in the bid. The bid required that bidders submit sealed envelopes in person to City Hall. One bidder submitted it electronically, which was in contradiction to what the direction was in the bid documents. From a legal perspective, we did not feel we could accept that bid. And it was somewhat close enough that going through the whole process for 3 weeks again, with the possibility that we would not get the same numbers at this point didn't seem in the city's benefit. So I know it's a little bit of a anomalous in this specific item, but I can answer any other questions you may have.
Any questions from council?
I do have one. I mean, I understand legally they didn't follow the procedures and whatnot, but just in the future, are the bid instructions, is that dictated by state law, or is that something that we picked out? Because if it's not state law, I would suggest that we look at editing or modifying our bid procedures. So especially now when they don't, so it doesn't require in-person delivery in a sealed envelope.
Exactly.
I totally agree. And we're, you know, making that transition, and this was a carryover. But it was very crystal clear in the bid documents that that's what it said to do. But yeah, we're probably not going to be doing in-person bids almost anymore. So
that's just something that we've decided to do. It's not dictated by state law or anything like that, right?
Correct. No,
Okay.
it is not required by state law. As long as there's a system in place that there's, you know, that people can't see anyone else's bid numbers prior to this submitting a bid. I think that's the only requirements that we get the benefit of, you know, competitive bidding. So we've done email bids before. We actually have a bid out right now for the first phase of the Knowles fire mitigation, and we're allowing bids to be submitted via email on that one.
Okay.
The thing is we missed out on a huge savings here because that bid came in so much less electronic. I don't know.
So did we grab that from a 1984 bid procedure document or something like that?
No, and you know, we could have gone in more detail, and maybe there was an issue with that. The risk we have in rebidding it is now they've all seen the numbers. You know, he probably would not leave that much money on the table. He'd probably come back and rebid it higher, or, you know, so.
No, it's fair enough. I'm fine with it. We need to follow what we outlined was the procedures to be legally protected. So,
right, I agree. It's interesting because we've done a lot of bids, and you know, and we've done you know, up until about 4 months ago, we had never done electronic bids. In the last 4 months, probably 2/3 of our bids have been electronic and 1/3 in person. But everyone's been able to follow the rules. This guy simply just didn't even bother to do his homework on what it was, on what it.
I wouldn't throw him under the bus. It is COVID. He probably thought, what city's doing in-person bids during COVID? So I wouldn't throw him under the bus that he didn't do his homework, but that's regardless. But I think he was probably shocked when he found out that we were still doing in-person bids because we're not even meeting as a city council in person.
I guess my question would be, what sort of things policy needs to be changed to allow that, or has that already been taken care of?
It's not a policy change. It's just a matter of what we put in the instructions to bidders. And like I said, we're probably from now on going to do electronic only, you know, unless there's a very unique circumstance where we don't feel comfortable. But it's just, as long when we advertise that on the internet, we just make sure the instructions to bidders are clear, you know, that bids are being taken electronically.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from council? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we award the contract for 2020 manhole collar repair project, resolution R20-32 dated today, to Snow Canyon Construction in the amount of $103,120.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Do we need to include the resolution on that?
I did.
Oh, missed that.
You did.
All right. Okay. Any other comments? All right, Councilman Karn.
Aye.
Councilman Cumber.
Aye.
Councilman Porter.
Aye.
Councilman Wilden.
Aye.
Councilman Podesta, aye as well. Unanimous voted on that. Business item number 4, Code Amendment Title 19.10, Hillside Development Ordinance 20-25, dated today.
Hi. Okay, so this is to repeal and replace the existing something that we've had in mind for a long time, and then worked on for quite some time now. So over a year, about a year and a half now, we've been working on this. So as far as the process goes, these were our goals for this amendment, to establish enforceable regulations in our hillside development. Some of them in the current ordinance, we did not feel that they were actually enforceable. We wanted to establish regulations for vegetation preservation and revegetation, especially on those hillsides to help control runoff. We wanted to establish grading limits, such as avoiding large cuts and fills and benching of the hillsides. We wanted to require blending cuts and fills, and also to promote homes that step into the hillside rather than, have a big pad cut in. And so what we did, we established a committee including planning, engineering, public works, building, fire, and legal. And we started off with a brainstorming, and then we hired a consultant to establish a draft. And then once we had a draft, we had multiple meetings to go through the draft, clean it up, adjust it. And then after many, many, many meetings, we sent it off to developers and asked for their feedback and input. And then we had several more meetings and made more adjustments. So we considered all the feedback as a team, we revised the draft, and then it has gone to Planning Commission for public hearing, and now you're seeing it. So I have that. I didn't include the whole document in the presentation. It's several pages. If you do have any questions, please let us know. We are happy to answer any questions you might have. And then staff recommends approval of this item.
Ryan, you're on.
Councilman Wilden.
Just real quick question. I know you submitted, or various outside parties submitted feedback. When I went through it, it looked like the maximum retaining wall of a singular wall, not terraced, was what, 10 feet? I just know in the city I've seen extensively higher, I shouldn't say extensively, but noticeably higher than 10 feet, where most of the development company and engineers or whoever was 10 feet. Just what was the rationale behind 10 feet, and is the industry generally supportive of that? And it might have been 12. I don't remember exactly.
No, you're correct. It is 10 feet. However, if they step it, it can be up to 18 feet. So they could do 3 steps of 6 feet. But for a single wall, it is 10 feet. And we didn't get any pushback on that. That was accepted.
Okay, Councilman McCumber?
And to follow up with Stephen Wilden's comment there, is this only, that limit is only for hillside development? Because you have people along the lake that have 25-foot retaining walls coming, even on lakefront properties, that to the trail, they have a 20-foot wall,
Right now, it is only for the hillside section. So we could look at adding that to other locations in the code.
Yeah, because I think that if it's engineered, I don't know. I just am surprised that it's such a short wall. I had that same concern. I walk past walls that are, 18, 20, 23 feet high when I'm along the trails along the lake, and they're engineered, they're designed. You can see they're very well done. One was just put in probably within the last year and a half, 2 years. Is that? I was surprised that DAI and Edge Homes didn't push back on that. They had no problems with that.
No, they have, well, so Edge Homes in particular has already been following that. It was that same regulation was in their community plan. And then DAI, we've been working through that and discussing it. And I'm not as familiar with their projects. I don't know for sure what regulations they're following.
Great.
I would
Thanks.
add, if you don't mind, this is Jeremy, that it is somewhat aesthetic, especially on the hillside. When you look up, if you were to look at a singular 25-foot face, that could be very, glaring and I guess stand out like a sore thumb. And by terracing it, there's a chance to put, vegetation or whatever between the tiers and try to break up that wall. So maybe on the lakeshore, it's not nearly as as visible from a city standpoint as it would be up on the hillside if you were to have 20-30 foot, a singular 20-30 foot wall. It could be very aesthetically unpleasing. And I think that's maybe why the developers don't mind breaking it up a little bit, because they understand that it's not going to look good when it's such a visible location.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm good with that. My question is more on the developers. I've just regularly see it over 10 feet, but I do like it broken up from a aesthetics perspective, and if the development community is behind it and that's a reasonable number from an engineering standpoint, I don't have any concerns. Everything else looked good to me. Sorry, Councilman McGomber, I didn't mean to add to your comments.
No, I added to yours.
Yeah, it's my turn. No, I'm good. So.
Okay, anything else? Any other council members? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve business item 4, ordinance 20-25 dated today.
Okay, I have a first.
Do we need to add staff findings? Oh, sorry. I'll second it, but then I have a comment.
Okay, second, and go ahead.
Do we need to add the staff findings and conditions?
Yeah, probably. So updated.
Seconded.
Okay, first and second amended. Any other comments? Okay, Councilman Porter.
Aye.
Councilman Carn.
Aye.
Councilman McCumber.
Aye.
Councilman Wilden.
Aye.
Councilman Podeska, aye as well. That's unanimous. Okay. All right, we're on business item number 5, National Resources Conservation Services, NRCS, Emergency Watershed Protection Program Grant Agreement and City Manager Authorization, Resolution R20-33, dated today.
Mayor and Council, this is basically us preemptively having you grant us authority so that I can exercise and execute those agreements when they become available, when we finally do receive approvals. Again, our intent is to not have to wait for a council meeting or not have to call a council meeting to authorize us to exercise this agreement. Our intent is to, this is the amount that we believe is going to be appropriate for our response. We want to be able to take immediate action and start awarding contracts as soon as funding becomes available and approvals are made by the federal government. So that's what our intent is on this. We still do have the disaster declaration, which authorized me specifically to be able to enter these agreements, but we just wanted to make sure preemptively get that in front of you, get your approval, keep charging ahead once those things become available.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any council or any questions, comments from council?
Yeah, Mark, is our grant request that's gone in for the 793,150, and do we have any reason to believe that won't come in for that amount?
So the total amount, that the 7 number that you just mentioned is the match portion. We believe that BLM in their reseeding efforts will help cover much of that match, and for the remaining, roughly $250,000 that's there. So I think that it will come in. I think what we've got is reasonable. I think right now we're waiting for tribal clearances and other things, and we're also waiting for engineering approvals from the NRCS. They've been great to work with. We're excited to begin work and to get some of these preventative measures put in place.
Do we need to move to have any flexibility in these numbers as we pass this, so we don't have to come back to it?
If you wanted to build flexibility into it, I would say that this would be the cap that I could spend and that we could enter into contracts for. If the number goes up, we certainly could come back and amend it, but it'll take a while to rip through that amount of money. We'll certainly have an opportunity to amend that approval in the meantime if we need to.
Fair enough.
Councilman Porter?
I talked with Mark about this earlier, and I just wanted to thank staff for moving so quickly on this and being very aggressive and trying to get everything, all of our ducks in a row. We are kind of stymied by some governmental requirements and regulations as far as being able to move quicker, but I'm glad to hear that the NRCS has been great to work with, and And, hopefully as soon as the noticing period is up, we can start working on this.
Agreed.
Get that hillside protected.
Agreed. Last time we thought a month was fast and it wasn't.
Well, and just so you know, Mayor and Council, we've already expended some resources and we're out there doing some work right now. And it's kind of a risk and a gamble. $1 million is a lot of money and we want to make sure that we can get reimbursed. So I think we've got some good preventative and protective measures in place. Hopefully we can get these approvals as soon as possible. And then Jeremy is working with our consultant, CRS, to get bids so that we can award those contracts and be able to just start charging forward as soon as we've got all of the federal T's and I's crossed and dotted appropriately so that we can be moving forward.
Okay. If nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve business item 5, resolution R 2033 dated today.
I have a first from Councilman Karn. Second from Councilman Porter. Is that correct? Okay.
Both of us.
People said it. Yeah. Pick one.
All right. For second, any other comments or questions? All right. Councilman Walden.
Aye.
Councilman Porter.
Aye.
Councilman Karn.
Aye.
Councilman Cumber.
Aye.
And Councilman Podesta, aye as well. That's unanimous voting. Business item number 6, interlocal cooperation agreement with Utah County for disbursement from the Coronavirus Relief Fund, CARES Act, resolution R20-34 dated today.
Mayor and Council, I want to apologize. We kind of intended to get this in front of you a little bit sooner, right towards the end of June, but we kind of got our hands full with a fire and some other things. And we're all, the county would work with the various cities to make some amendments to this interlocal agreement. They've made some minor tweaks, but they're remaining pretty solid on what they're willing to allow from an indemnification clause. We've done some research. We've spoken with the state. Really, this is kind of because they got a direct award from the federal government because of the size of the county. We're really kind of beholden to the rules that they're putting upon us. We would recommend that we approve the interlocal agreement, and the CARES Act funding that's associated with that is $2.4 million based on our population and the CARES Act money that was distributed to Utah County. So we appreciate the opportunity that we have to receive a direct appropriation. There was some discussion as to whether or not we were going to have to go through reimbursement process with the county for each and every reimbursement request. So they're giving us the 2.4 with the expectation that by about November 2nd, anything that we haven't entered encumbered or have a plan for spending or encumbering, that we'd have to return back to them. And obviously, we want to make sure that we use this money appropriately, consistent with government accounting principles and federal regulations. And so we would recommend the approval of this and authorize the mayor to exercise or to execute this agreement and move forward.
Hey, any question or comments from council?
I would just say I attended the meeting where they talked about this. The original proposal was for the county to control quite a bit more and basically to oversee all of it and leave the cities kind of beholden to the county for any expenditures that we wanted to make. And so I think that this is a better alternative than that. And so I support it.
Okay.
Mayor, Council, make one quick correction. I apologize. So the resolution authorizes that I can sign this on behalf of the city. And I mentioned that the mayor would sign it. The mayor's signature is what they've put on the contract or on the interlocal agreement. So if it's all the same to you, one of us will sign it and we'll get it over to them right away.
Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make it. I move that we approve the interlocal cooperation agreement with Utah County for disbursement from the Coronavirus Relief Fund CARES Act, resolution R20-34 dated today, having either the mayor or the city manager, Saratoga Springs, signing that agreement.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman Cumber,
Second.
second from Councilman Weldon. Any comments or questions? Okay, Councilman Carn,
Aye.
Councilman Weldon,
Aye.
Councilman Cumber,
Aye.
Councilman Porter,
Aye.
Councilman Podeska, aye as well. That's unanimous. Do I have motion on the minutes?
I'll move approval of the 3 sets of minutes on the agenda.
Second that.
Okay, first from Councilman Weldon, second from Councilman Cumber. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And it's my understanding we don't have need for closed session. Is that correct, Mark?
That is correct. And Mayor and Council, if I could just take a quick moment, you may have noticed that Kevin is not on the call today. Maren Barker, who is our new city attorney, is attending in his place. And I realized that we failed to recognize her a little bit earlier this evening. You had a chance to meet her at our cooperation or our work session meeting with Lehigh, but I just wanted to welcome Maren to our council meeting and make sure that I pointed out that we did in fact have legal counsel representing us today.
Okay. Welcome, Maren.
Good, they keep us in line.
The motley crew, I can tell.
Did we break any laws, Maren? Are you aware of any?
I think we're good.
All right, there you go.
We've had our moments.
That's all privilege, Mark.
We have definitely
Stephen's been quiet this meeting, so we should
yeah, Jim's not here to tease, so that helps.
Hey,
yep, good.
did we ever go back to the strategic planning advisory?
No, we didn't.
Oh,
you're
thanks.
right.
You would think legal would have caught this, but
Mary, she didn't have a link to join the meeting until just recently. So
Now Wilden's given the guff.
Mayor, Council, apologize, there was a communication error with our consultant, but they are ready to move forward with the strategic planning advisory committee, the SPAC, based on the recommendations you have given to David and Mackie Smith with Tannerco. So just a note that they will be moving forward hopefully in the next month or two to get started on that process, even though we are in COVID, but they have ways to obviously do Zoom meetings, et cetera. So with that, we will probably circle back around just to bring back the names of the people. I don't have that in front of me, I apologize, but that was what that item was. And I apologize that, again, miscommunication with the consultant on whether he needed to be here or not tonight.
I can read off the names that people want. It's in the packet, but
it's in the packet, yeah.
Perfect.
I didn't see that, but is there representation from the council in those meetings?
no.
On purpose.
Okay.
We try not to keep it, we try to make it non-political.
Okay.
Because we have plenty of opinions when it comes to us later.
Right. But they come up with the plan, they bring it back to us, and then we change it so that it meets
we
our
do what we
opinion.
want.
Okay, sounds good.
That's one reason why, as a council member, we don't attend often public meetings, like when they're doing like the land use map or the transportation plan, because we want to get an unbiased opinion, and then we'll review it once we get all their feedback.
Okay, so it looks like, yeah, we have the list of names there that Mark's sharing.
That's good.
And we don't need to take any action on this today, correct, Owen?
No, the action will be after they bring back something for you to adopt, the actual plan to adopt. Really, you've just appointed these individuals to spearhead the effort, as this is a community. So they don't have any budgetary or other controls. It's really just more of a focus group, essentially.
I like seeing some of the names from last time to this time, so we have some consistency as well. That's good.
Yeah, we really do appreciate these residents for taking the time, as this is
volunteer,
a lot of time. So,
all right. Anything else from council or administration?
Yeah, our next meeting date.
always looking this meeting goes so much smooth with Mayor Miller being so quiet.
Meeting date would be 4th.
August 4th. Okay.
All right, if nothing else,
If I
go ahead.
could,
Yes.
typically that first Tuesday in August is when we do the Night Out Against Crime. But given kind of the COVID nature of what we're doing, we are looking, the police department is working with special events to see if we can't do some ways to celebrate the police department and get some positive messaging out, but do it in a way that would not necessarily generate crowds and would not necessarily bring people into close contact. So we are looking at some things, and hopefully as soon as we've got some more information, we can share that with you. But,
That'd be great.
Forward with our meeting and share that celebration of our amazing police officers at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I have some ideas. So if they want to reach out, I some cities in Dallas that I just associated with my work. They did some really cool things that were socially distanced, and then gave them some great recognitions. If they want to reach out,
I'll pass that along to them. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and adjourn today's meeting.
bye all.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks for running it, Councilman.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good job, Ryan. Good job.